Is that Mr. Sutton?
Yeah.
Okay. What's your first name?
LaRico.
LaRico, okay. Did you see the movie downstairs that advised you of your rights? The film, The Judge on it? Mm-hmm. Okay. Do you have any questions about that? Mm-hmm. Okay. Did you talk to Mom? You know she's here?
Yeah, they kind of.
Have you ever been here before?
Mm-mm.
This is your first time?
Yes, sir.
You should be a little bit nervous, huh?
Yeah.
Maybe you won't come back, huh?
No, I promise. Man, no.
Very good. Okay, why don't you come in? You see the attorney sitting there? Let's go around the left side of the table and then go up to the black chair right by her.
Which one?
We're going to go around the left side. And then you just come right down to the black chair that's standing right by her.
Stand.
Mm-hmm. And just stand there.
Right here?
Remain standing right there. Hi, you're for LaRico?
Yes.
Okay. And you, the mom? And who?
I'm the grandmother.
And mom. Okay. Once you all go and just stand by right behind him on those light green chairs there, just stand in there. Okay, up one more right in here. Yes. Mm-hmm. Just stand there. Mom and grandmother. Everybody raise your right hand, I'll swear us in. To swear the testimony that you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth to help you God. I do. Please be seated. Rico, you'll be right here.
This is the matter of LaRico Sutton. Let the record show that Attorney Guzik is present representing the prosecutor's office. Ms. Clayton is present representing the probation department, and Attorney Monroe is present. The court will appoint her to represent LaRico for this hearing only. State your name, young man.
LaRico Sutton.
And how old are you, LaRico?
13.
All right. Your name, ma'am?
Lena Barlow.
And how are you related to LaRico?
I'm his grandmother and his guardian.
All right. His legal guardian. Your name, please?
My name is Latiana Young. I'm Rico's mother.
All right. Were the three of you advised of your rights this morning?
Ma'am?
I
Did you see
was.
the movie?
Yes,
Did you explain
ma'am.
your rights?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Do you understand what your rights are?
Yes.
Ma'am.
Any
Yes,
questions
ma'am.
about them?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
All right. Ms. Monroe, do you have any questions of anyone?
Yes, Your Honor, I will call Ms. Barlow, the grandmother.
Ms. Barlow, would you please have a seat up here?
Yes.
Just come out and watch the step.
Ma'am, you are the grandmother and legal guardian.
Yes, I am.
Do you want to take LaRico home with you today?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Ma'am, is he in school?
Yes, ma'am, you were in school.
How's his grades and attendance in school?
Well, it was, I think, a C plus the last grade period.
Ma'am, what school is he in?
Lake Ridge.
Now, this incident allegedly happened on the bus, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Is he going to be allowed to continue to ride on the bus?
I don't know, but if not, I have a car and he gets to go to school.
So you will make sure that he gets back and forth to
Yes,
school?
ma'am.
Ma'am, are you having any problems with him at home following your rules?
No, ma'am, he been doing just fine. That's why I don't understand what happened.
How many other children are in the home, ma'am?
Just him. Just him.
Ma'am, if he's released today, there may be some restrictions on his release.
Yes.
Will you assure the court that he follows those?
Yes, ma'am, I will.
And will you report any violations?
Yes, ma'am.
And he will also have future court hearings here. Will you make sure that he gets all of
I
those?
sure will.
I have nothing further, Your Honor.
Ma'am, could you please answer a few questions for me?
Yes, ma'am.
It's curious to me that you're his grandmother
Yes.
and his mother is present, yet you're his legal guardian. Is that true?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Tell me how that came about.
Okay, you know we came out of the hurricane out of Mississippi.
No, the court didn't know that.
Well, that's where we just came from.
So you lived in Mississippi?
Yes, ma'am, on the coast.
All three of you, the mother?
Yes, all of us.
All right.
And right before that, you know, my daughter, she was going through hard times and everything, and you know, she got 4 children. Okay.
Where did they live?
All of us was in Mississippi,
Okay.
and it was kind of rough on her and everything with all the kids, and then, you know, she had a boyfriend, and LaRico and the boyfriend didn't see eye to eye, So I ended up getting him in my custody, keeping him. Because I basically kept him ever since he was a little tiny baby, all the time. So I ended up taking custody of LaRico, keeping him with me.
And he's lived with you for how long?
Almost a year and a half. He been in my custody, but one way or another, they was always living with me. But,
So you lived in Mississippi when he came to live with you a year ago or more?
yes, ma'am.
And then Hurricane Katrina
Came,
came
and then I
you
came.
were displaced?
Yes, we had to come. When we left Mississippi, we had to go to Chicago, and then we had to stay in Chicago, and then they placed us over here in Maryville, on Harrison Street.
And you've lived there how long?
I've been there almost 3 months now. But my daughter and them, they just got out. They just got out about 3 weeks ago,
Got out of,
Mississippi.
I see. And then she came up here to just stay with you.
Well, she got placed up here too.
And she has her other 3 children with her.
She got 2 of them with her.
And she doesn't live in your home though?
No, ma'am.
Were you aware that there was a young man that was perhaps saying something about your daughter, LaRico's mother?
Yes, well, when I talked with the officer the day of the incident, there was some pretty harsh things said, and he pushed him side his head and all that.
I'm going to read to you what this police report says.
Okay.
Okay? It says here that the police were called about an incident that occurred on the school bus,
Okay.
the school bus that LaRico rides.
Okay.
The victim advised that he was sitting on the bus when the suspect, namely LaRico, threw an object at the bus driver to distract her, and then he came up to the victim where he was sitting and began punching and hitting him. The victim stated he did not fight back and did not attempt to punch or hit LaRico, but merely attempted to protect himself by raising his arms to ward off the blows. The fight was stopped when the bus driver intervened. The officers observed the injuries on both arms of the victim, which consisted of cuts, bruises, and abrasions that resulted from being battered by LaRico. And apparently at some point he was advised that the police officer was advised that the victim was making disparaging remarks about LaRico's mother.
Right.
Is this something that happened between LaRico and this young man prior to this bus ride, to your knowledge?
That's what the principal said. The word was, it was, you know, nigger, your mom, something like that, and pushed him side his head. That's what all that is standing from. But
So this isn't an ongoing feud between LaRico and this boy?
no, this supposed had happened before they got on the bus, I believe.
Have you had any other incidents or problems with LaRico of this nature, of him fighting other children?
He had a fight before, but you know, it was just kid fights. It was never nothing this extent.
I mean, it seems to me that, you know, to distract the bus driver, it sounded like he had a plan. You know, when somebody says something about your mother or somebody that you care for or love, you know, your first reaction is to react. You don't have time to think about what your actions are going to be. And to throw something at a bus driver says to me that maybe this was something he thought about, which is a little bit frightening. Excuse me. After all, the bus driver is driving the bus, and other children, aside from LaRico, are in her care and custody. And so if this object had hit the bus driver and the bus would have swerved, I mean, these children conceivably could have all died or been injured.
True.
So tell me what you wanted to say.
Okay, when I asked him about the incident, when the principal told me about the tape that he threw something for the bus driver, he said that everybody was sniggling at him from when he got pushed upside his head, and he just threw something. He said he didn't throw that at the bus driver. I wasn't on the bus, I haven't even seen the tape. I would like to.
Okay. Well, the hearing today is really one of probable cause, where I have to decide whether or not probable cause exists to believe that LaRico has committed a delinquent act.
Okay.
And if I do find probable cause, then the matter will be set over for another hearing, and at that hearing, he'll be able to admit or deny the allegations, and if he denies them, it'll be set for trial. So the court will hear all that evidence.
Okay.
The second part of what I need to decide today is whether or not I should release him to your custody.
Okay.
You said that you would like him to return home, is that true?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. What can you say to assure the court that he will not engage in this type of behavior in the future, which would make him a danger to himself and to other people?
Like I said, you know, he probably won't be able to ride on the bus if he do, once he offers suspension or whatever. I will have to take him to school, pick him up, And he be at home because we don't really know anybody around here. He be at home,
Is he suspended from school?
probably for 10 days.
Has the school notified you of that?
Well, I called the school and they told me to call him back this week sometime.
So what will he be doing for the next 10 days?
Well, he got his own room, he got his books, he got his, notepads and stuff like that. He'd be at home.
He doesn't hang around with any friends?
He don't have any friends over there yet.
So there's no worry on my part that he'll be out and about getting in further trouble?
No, ma'am.
All right.
No, ma'am.
Mrs. Guzik, any questions for the grandmother?
Yes. Ma'am, had LaRico ever been suspended when he was in school in Mississippi?
He got suspended, yes, but not for, nothing like this.
What did he get suspended for?
He got suspended for, he gets stubborn. Rico was on medication. He, AHDD. And Rico, he gets on that medication sometime and he just gets stuck, and he don't want to talk. He don't, stuff like that. And, sometimes the teachers don't understand if I don't let them know that he's on his medication or whatever. But it was, little stuff like that. It was nothing this major.
So it wasn't that he'd ever been involved in an altercation with another child?
He done had fights and stuff before, but he wasn't suspended for those fights or whatever.
Had he ever been involved with the court system in Mississippi?
When he couldn't get along with my daughter's boyfriend and everything, and he called the police, and he went to, to the officials, and they took him to there until I came to get him.
Okay, did you have further court hearings then?
No, ma'am.
Okay, he was never on probation in Mississippi?
No, he was on, where they monitored him back and forth. That was it.
So he's been monitored by the juvenile court in Mississippi?
It wasn't by the court. It was by, it was a lady, child protective service.
Okay.
It wasn't by the court.
You never had to go to a court hearing for him? Because of
No
that?
more than when the judge had took him and made him legally in my custody.
That's the only time you had to go to court?
Yes, that's the only time I went.
Have you ever go talk to a probation officer about him at all?
Yeah, that particular probation officer, I forget her name.
Bills.
Who?
Nancy Bills.
Nancy Bill.
Just answer if you know that. And
No, I
we can
don't
find out.
That was it.
I have no further questions.
Anything else, Ms. Monroe?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. You may have a seat in the back. Ms. Monroe, any other witnesses?
I'll call Mr. Sutton.
LaRico, would you have a seat up here, please?
LaRico, you do want to go home today?
Yes, ma'am.
If you are released today, will you follow all the rules that are imposed on you?
Yes, ma'am, I will.
And will you have no contact with as much as you can, with Mr. Stevens? Would you avoid him at all times?
Yes, I will.
Are you planning to make it back to all court hearings?
Yes, ma'am.
And you have to attend school and not miss any days, so you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
I have nothing further, Your Honor.
LaRico, is the victim in this matter attend school with you?
Yes, ma'am. He in different classes. I am though.
So you don't have any classes the same as his?
No, he in 8. I'm in 7.
So he's in 8th grade.
Yeah.
Had you had any other than this incident that we're here for today, have you had any other contact with him in a negative or positive way?
When I first had started school, he about 2 weeks after I started school, he started making little comments.
He started making little comments?
Yeah, up to his friends, and his friends came back and told me,
Comments about what?
like trying to fight me. But I ignored it until we talked to the principal. When we talked to the principal, he told us to stay away from each other.
How did you end up with the principal then? How did the principal get involved?
Because he saw us making words back and forth, and he told us to go to his office and he talked to us.
How long ago was that?
About 2 weeks after I was in school.
So 2 weeks after you were in school would have been in what, the middle of September, August, when?
I just had started school in, I think, last month
Okay.
in December.
All right. That was when you moved here from Mississippi?
Yes, ma'am.
And so he was saying things to you and the two of you were gonna fight, and the principal intervened?
Well, we wouldn't want to fight. It didn't get that far. We just was making comments back and forth, and he told us to go to the office and told us to stay away from when you know.
So he's never been to your home? He doesn't know your mother, is that right?
No, ma'am.
Is there any reason that you can think of that he would have been picking on you as opposed to somebody else?
No, ma'am.
So what will you do when you return to school? And you've been suspended, right?
Yes.
So after you return to school after your suspension, what will you do in the event that he confronts you once again or calls your mother a name or your grandmother a name? How will you react to that?
Ma'am, I'll probably go tell, and I know how to take it better. Since I've been in here for 4 days, I
How
know
long have you been in here?
4 days. I know how to take it better, and I go tell the principal or a teacher.
I'm not certain if you appreciate the gravity of your actions, but you understand that, and you don't have to admit or deny this, but you understand what could have happened on that bus that day, you throwing something, whether you did it intentionally or you did it inadvertently, if something would have happened and the bus driver lost control of the bus, do you not?
Yes, ma'am.
Is there anything else you'd like to tell me today?
If I could tell him I'm sorry, I'd tell him.
You would tell who you're sorry.
Mr. Stevens, I'll tell him.
Well, maybe you'll have that opportunity.
Yes, ma'am.
Any questions, Mrs. Guzik?
No, Judge.
All right, thank you, LaRico. You may have a seat back there. Anything else, Ms. Monroe?
No, Your Honor.
All right. The court today, the decision that I have to make is one of whether or not LaRico will appear for a subsequent hearing and whether or not his behavior is such that he would be a danger to himself or to others. This sounds like it's at least an isolated incident as it relates to anybody here in this community, and that he just moved here from Mississippi. It also sounds like perhaps he had some problems with fighting or getting along with other children and then with his mother's boyfriend while living in Mississippi. But I would like to think that perhaps he's learned somewhat of a lesson after being here for the last 4 days after this incident occurred on the bus. Today, the court will find probable cause to believe that LaRico has committed a delinquent act. I'll refer the matter to the prosecutor's office to file a petition, but I will order that he be released today to the custody of his grandmother on the condition that he not have any contact with the victim in this case, except to apologize, and that he attend school every day with no unexcused absence after his suspension has been released, and that he appear for his next hearing. Do you have any questions?
Oh, ma'am.
All right, then this hearing's adjourned. Thank you.
Hearing's over. We're coming in with Ryan Holtzman.
Thank you.
I'm sure you feel much better now, right?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
I think you have a good positive attitude on this, yeah. Like wanting to apologize to the bus driver, right?
Yes.
Yeah, very good.
Feel great.
Much better now.
Much better.
He's released.
Second?